Hi everyone, it's Paul Kegabine at the Garland County Library. We're here once again with Charlie Moore, the founder of the Highlands Folk Project, Arkansas Highlands Folk Project. And this is the third installment in our virtual series. And I'm sure Charlie's hiding somewhere around there off camera. He tends to do that. Come on, Charlie. There you are.
Yeah, I was over. The library has a lot of great books. We'll talk about a couple of these in a minute. Thank you, Paul, and everybody. Welcome back, and thank you so much for sticking with us on our 3-episode series. And this is the final one.
I don't know about that. I think we're going to keep them going. Isn't that right, Charlie?
Well, yes, we may be able to do that. We're going to try to change the content up a little bit. And let me say, thank you very much for following us and the very positive comments. But this will not take the place of our live events. And we will have a surprise announcement. I don't even think Paul knows about it. Sometime this evening about a potential live event soon in Hot Springs. So we'll save that for a break here in just a minute. Let's see, a couple of housekeeping chores, and then we're going to just jump right in. Again, we do have some nice door prizes. Well, we have some door prizes you can consider. There's a beautiful hat, summer weight, from Crystal Ridge Distillery here in Hot Springs, restaurant and moonshine distillery. It's flavored moonshine. Also from them is a very, very nice t-shirt, Crystal Ridge, commemorating that they converted to hand sanitizer in 2020 as opposed to moonshine. We have a very nice picture portfolio of Arkansas by various photographers in the state, and it's a real nice coffee table gift. And finally, one of a kind, limited edition, they don't make these anymore, they were not made in China, spoons that commemorate Hot Springs, Arkansas, the national park. And we have at least 2 of these. And the way you can win those is your name is in a hopper if you have emailed us during one of the previous programs, or if you email us tonight. And Paul has one way to email, and I have another. And let me get my high-tech. Okay, we'll pull this up. Okay, there it is. You can email to that address with any questions, or just say, count me in or something, and you will be in the hopper to be picked as a door prize winner. Also,
or just comment there in the Facebook feed while you're watching live.
Yes. And also, if you want to be on our list where you'll find out about the live events that may be coming up, you can just email this address and ask to have your name added to our email list. We have about 250, maybe a few more, and these are actually international people that are interested, not just in the United States. So we really do appreciate that. Okay, without further ado, Paul, I think we ought to go ahead and kick off the first audio, and let me pause just a second. Tonight we have a variety of performances. Some of these are commentaries and examples of the instruments that were used, some more primitive than others, all in a very enjoyable context. So the first one is with David Holt, who I introduced last month. He's one of my favorite guys. He's been promoting and preserving and acknowledging the roots of this music longer than anyone I know. So this first little bit is with David Holt and Josh Goforth. They performed together at the Ozark Folk Center 2 years ago, put on a wonderful performance there at the 1,000-seat auditorium in Mountain View. So, if without further ado, let's kick that one off.
A lot of people ask us about the rhythms in mountain music, and you know, the music originally came from England, Scotland, Ireland, the British Isles, and it had a certain beat, didn't it?
It did. In fact, my family came from the British Isles, and I traveled to Ireland, and they really accent the downbeat, the 1 and the 3. So something like this. This is kind of the sound.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Yeah. And then when the African American influence came in around the 1850s on, it really changed the rhythm a lot. It was the emphasis on the upbeat, or the backbeat.
That's right, completely opposite.
Completely opposite.
Completely opposite. So let's show them a little bit of that.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's just such a great rhythm for dancing and moving. You just want to tap your toes.
Absolutely.
So let's put these two things together. We'll play the Irish tune with the bones, which of course are an Irish instrument, and then we'll switch over to the spoons for the more African American influence. Something like this.
Okay, very good. And you notice that last little credit that popped up, Will and Demi. They're the producers of the PBS program in North Carolina, David Holt's State of Music, and I really want to thank them for opening their entire library to us to use in our episodes, and we're going to take advantage of them. The next one is another one of theirs, and it's kind of following what we just did. It's going to talk about the different instruments. In a moment, we're going to bring the bands on that will place it more than just explain these. But our heritage with this music is important to see where it comes from, and that it's led up to what we enjoy, whatever music genre you enjoy today. Is rooted in this particular music. So, Paul, if you will roll the Okie Dokie Brothers, let's see what they have to do.
We're in Asheville, North Carolina, sitting here with our friend David Holt, who's going to talk to us today a little bit about Appalachian music.
What exactly attracted you to Appalachian music?
Well, I like to call it mountain music because mountain music encompasses all these genres, the bluegrass and the old time. The music itself is so powerful. You can have things that are just fun, like Cripple Creek, just a fun song. You can have things that have a lot of depth and soulfulness. I've had nothing but trouble in my life. Let's try it together. And the rhythms. I love rhythm. Anything that's like drumming, I love. This is the washboard. Now, it wasn't made to be a musical instrument, but probably in the 1860s, people figured out, hey, you could play this. Put thimbles on your fingers, put a little wood block down here at the bottom, just a hollowed out 2x4, nothing you buy, an old tin cup. And there you got your home entertainment center for the 1870s. The first instrument I ever learned along with the bones were the spoons. But you just take regular kitchen spoons and hold one between your thumb and your first finger, get the next one upside down with your pointer finger in between, hold tightly back here, get down on your leg, and go back and forth and get a little sound. My dad, like I said, played the spoons and the bones, but the bones are, I guess, the most unusual thing to me. They are just rib bones from a cow. So they sound like this.
All right, nice. That was pretty good.
Let me show you this cool instrument. It's called the mouth bow, and it's an old mountain instrument. In fact, it's the oldest string instrument in the world and still played here in the mountains. So it's just a stick with a string on it. That's it. It sounds like this. Now, some people think it sounds like what's called a jaw harp. This is a little metal thing, and you hold it up against your teeth. Leave a space between your teeth. Otherwise, this little twanger will make one for you. Hold it up there and you pull it back and. So it has well, you can make funny sounds with it, like, or you can play tunes with it, like this old tune called Sally Gooden. Well, little piece of pie, little piece of pudding, give it all away to see Sally Gooden. This is like the very early style of mountain banjos. And you can see it has no metal dividers on the neck, no frets. So you have to just slide into the notes. There's an old song that I learned from Doc Watson called Georgie Buck. Well, my name is Georgie Buck. Never had no luck. I've always been treated this way, boys. Always been treated this way. I said, oh, me, oh, Lord and mine. Always been treated this way. That's what the banjo sounded like maybe 130 years ago. Yeah.
I like that.
So the same man that taught me how to play the mouth bow or showed me how to make one also played the paper bag. The paper bag. And he used it from a drum, basically, like a mountain drum. You just put a little air in a paper bag, grab it up here at the top. Then you just hit it with your hand like this.
Yeah.
It's a pretty
a
soggy
good one.
bag. But
Just don't do that with your lunch in it still.
you're really that's right. The sun's gonna shine in my back door someday. Let me play it again.
Okay, that was the Okie Dokie Brothers with the David Holt. You can see, I think you can tell why I like him. He can play anything from a paperback to a wonderful. He's a banjo professional. Is his main instrument, but he can play anything, and he can show you that he's having a good time doing it. Now we've kind of looked at some of the primitive instruments and talked about the mid-1860s, and if you listen to our previous programs, really I believe the collaboration of the inhabitants of the New World started in the early 1600s. 1607 was when Jonestown, the first European Brits that came over, and just shortly thereafter the first slave ship arrived with 50 slaves on it, and those two mixes, and they were all in the same community, and you couldn't be too far from each other because of the hostile influences in the area. So I can just see that the African Americans are over there figuring out how they're going to build their banjos from memory back home, listening to the folks over in the other side of the village, and sooner or later they heard each other. And if music has brought more people together than I know of anything that has done that. So now we're going to go from more primitive instruments, and we're going to go to the Kruger Brothers. It's another production by David Holt and Demi and the producers of David's show. They were in Hot Springs Village 2 years ago, I believe, put on a packed house performance at the Woodlands Auditorium, and I hope they get them back again soon. They're fantastic. They take it to the next level. I mean, they're beyond they've moved beyond old time. They've actually moved beyond bluegrass, and it's more classical music with a old time take to it. So, Paul, if you will, let's roll the Kruger Brothers, please. That's pretty amazing. They have some, again, I hope that Hot Springs Village brings those out. Paul, have I overlooked anything, or have we got any other announcements we need to make?
Well, that one kind of sounded like some progressive rock, like Rush or something.
Yeah, yeah.
We've got your tip jar.
Oh, well, by all means, the tip jar. That was established during the first one to provide, if any of our providers of recorded music, we were going to offer that to them. Everyone I've talked to said, don't bother with us, keep it to bring live music to Hot Springs, Arkansas. So it's accumulated, and we have a little bit in that tip jar. If anyone would like to contribute, we would certainly appreciate it, and it would expedite getting live music to Hot Springs. Every dollar that goes into the tip jar will go to musicians. There's no library expenses, no anything expenses except to pay out-of-town musicians to come to town. And again, if you want to if you would like to have an opportunity to win some of these fantastic door prizes, you will need to email either me or Paul as cited on the website. We've had a couple that have already responded tonight to get their name in the jar, but we sure would like to have a few more and be added to the list. Okay.
And if you have any questions or comments and you're watching on Facebook or YouTube Live, you can send those our way and I'll read them off to Charlie.
Before the show, I was over browsing the music books, and there are books that were, you can. No, we don't play violins in old-time music. A violin, we just don't play it. So there's a separate book, and I don't know why they say for dummies. I mean, violin for dummies, but I mean fiddle. That's a special.
I was going to say, I noticed a trend here, Charlie. Who you calling a dummy?
if the shoe foots wear it, and I've got one of these books at home to show me how to play the banjo, so I guess I'm one of those too. But in any case, our library, and I'm going to try to show you a little bit more of it. This it's almost like going to a gallery. This is a beautiful piece of art behind me here that we chose instead of the stage that we've been using. And I'll try to turn my camera between songs next time to show you some more. But if you are interested in learning one of these, and trust me, you don't get too old. I started late in life, and I mean just a few years ago, and I certainly wish I had come to the library and found these dummy books. It would have given me a few more years of enjoyment of this. Okay.
Hey, Charlie.
Yes, sir.
Someone asked you to hold up that email address one more time.
Okay, wait a minute. It's electronic. Oh, there it is.
And I'm going to type
it's
that.
Arkansas Highlands Folk Project at gmail.com. And yeah, ask us some questions and ask a few tough questions. Some of y'all are throwing so many softball questions. I want something tough. Just stay out of politics. That's probably the only rule. Maybe.
There's probably more, but we'll get there.
Okay. We're going to move on to, do you notice this? This is actually an instrument, too, that some people use. I'm not going to show you how to use it. And by the way, the bones, I just happened to bring mine. And you can buy these. And you could. David Holt is just a great example. And he was one of the first promoters he's been doing this for 40 years, I would say at least, and he was one of the first musician preservationists that recognized the contributions of African Americans and really highlighted them in his early programs, which we're going to see a couple of interviews in a few minutes. I have so much respect for him and for Demi and her husband, the producers that saw the value of David's work in North Carolina. And speaking of that, just why are we in Hot Springs so enamored by the music of North Carolina? It didn't take long for it to start drifting west, and it ended up in the Ozarks of Missouri and Arkansas and the Ouachita Mountains, which is where we're located here in Hot Springs, for those that aren't familiar with Arkansas. The music was here, and we're trying to preserve it and bring it back. It's special, and I hope you enjoy it. The next group, I'll hold this up while I'm speaking so that you have an opportunity to win one of these fantastic door prizes. Okay, the next group is going to be Rhiannon Giddens. She was on last month, and very special young lady. Dirk Powell, who is from around banjo players and old-time folks. He's kind of a rock star. And Jason Cipher playing as well. They're going to sing The Cuckoo. Now, this is another old song, but it's played by a modern group, and they do a nice job. And this is, it was actually, I think The Cuckoo was written in the mid-1800s and was first recorded in 1920s, and it's just kind of a fun tune to listen to. So if you will roll it, we will enjoy it. Thank you, Paul.
The cuckoo. Oh, the cuckoo. She's pretty bird. Whoa, as she flies. But she never sings cuckoo. Sings cuckoo. The 4th day of July. Jack Diamond, know you from old. You rock my poor pocket, silver and gold. My horses ain't hungry. They won't eat your head. I'll ride on take down my old fiddle, rosin my bow, and make myself welcome wherever I go. Oh, the cuckoo, she's pretty bird. She warbles and she flies, but she never sings cuckoo the 4th day of July.
Okay, that was Rihanna Givens, Dirk Powell, and Jason Cipher playing the Cuckoo. I mentioned a moment ago that we were going to do a couple of interviews. Well, I'll tell you what, before we do that, let me tell you about another event that's coming up. The first annual Arkansas Heritage Festival is planned for the last weekend in August of this year, live. It'll be in Hot Springs Village. There's a planning group that's really working awfully hard to make this a special event, and there's going to be all types of heritage activities going on, and one of those will be old-time music. We'll have some bands up there to help celebrate that Heritage Weekend. So mark your calendars, August 27th and 28th, and if you want to send, that'll be announced on this on my email account on when we know more details. But you can again use that there. The other thing is, well, we're going to move on with this interview. This is an interview that David Holt did in 1988 or 89, and he was on what he called his Celebration Express tour, and he was just celebrating the heritage and this old-time music, and he went all over the country recording folks that at that time were pretty darn old that had experienced the real thing earlier. So let's go in, and this is back to the washboard, and this is really a sweet story. This gentleman that you will meet here, I think, tells a lot about our music.
I learned to play the washboard from Susie Brunson, who was from Wilmington, North Carolina, and the oldest person in the world in 1992. She was 122. In 1989, I got to play with washboard Bill Cook. He was the one that really got me fired up about the washboard. He was a great rhythm man. He lived in West Palm Beach, and we did a Celebration Express story on him. He had such great rhythm, and he had been a professional washboard player his whole life, if you can believe that. He would play back in the 1920s and 30s for the Kennedys and the Rockefellers for all their fancy parties. Here's a little rhythm jam with washboard Bill Cook.
Back in the 20s and 30s, most of the vacationers came to Palm Beach by train and arrived at the West Palm Beach Depot. And if you were lucky, when you got off the train, you might have been welcomed by the world's greatest washboard player. His name is William Cook, affectionately known as Washboard Bill.
How you feeling today, Mr. Cook?
Oh, just having a mosquito in the nudist camp.
You first came to West Palm Beach in 1925?
That's right.
And what were you doing here? Just working?
Yeah, I was sold for $7 over in Deerfield. Made the first pay there, I come to West Palm.
And now, in the 40s, you went up to New York and you started learning how to play the washboard. Or you put together a washboard.
Well, I went to New York in 1932.
Oh, I see.
But I put the washboard together in 1946.
And you got the idea to put two washboards together to make it different.
Well, that's my idea of being the champ. and I made it too.
Let's see what you've got on here.
2 washboards, and right now I have 6 cowbells, and I have 3 brass cymbals, and I have an old-fashioned dinner bell, and I have old-fashioned ship bell.
This is the ship bell right
That's
here.
That's right. That's old. It's over 100 years old, and I have me a top hat cymbal.
Well, how old are you now?
Oh, I was 82 the 4th of July.
All right. Well, that's great. Now, when you came down here to play with this washboard band, you played for some of the richest families in the world. Who were some of those people?
The Kennedys, the Kennedys and the Rockefeller, and Mr. Little Roger, and some friends of Miss Gimmel's. I can't think of the name, but anyway, Jimmy Durandi, and Mr. Coney Mack, and then we played for the whole ball club.
I bet they kept you busy, didn't they?
Oh, it kept us busy. And all the clubs, we played all the clubs in Palm Beach.
You played with some of the best in the world.
Oh, some of the best, that's right.
Who?
Some of the best. Well, I was on Miss Pearl Bailey's show, and her husband beating drum for her, and I also was on Lucky Miller's show.
Harry Belafonte?
And played for Harry Belafonte, and we happened to be using one of Duke's men's, and Brownie and Sonny and his whole core group. There's 19 of us on that. But I carried the rhythm. I was the lead on that. I carried the rhythm and the time.
And how much did you get paid?
Oh, we got $25 an hour, tips and all the trimming, eats and drinks. And we used to go on sup on West Avenue with our beach bucket. And Mr. and Miss Money, they be walking along there, and they pitch half a dollar and quarter and silver dollars in the bucket. We go on sometimes $300 and $400 just on West Avenue in front of Francis Brewster's dress shop.
You've been playing the washboard for 47 years. Do you think you'll be doing it the rest of your life?
Well, as long as God let me, because I love it, and as long as people love it, I want to play, because I love to keep people happy. And every day of my life, I make somebody laugh.
And you do that.
That's what I've been doing for years.
Let's close this out here with playing a little spoons piece with the washboard and the spoons. How about it?
And you guys are jumping and eat with them and play with them. So let's go.
Well, I never went to college, I never went to school, but when it comes to boogie, I'm an educated fool.
I think because of people like Bill Cook, we're all a little bit richer in heart and soul. This is David Holt, out on the road with the Celebration Express.
Okay, Bill Cook. Just want to make people happy. If we had more folks around like Bill Cook, I think this would be a better place. And again, that was David Holt there. He looked a little bit younger, a little bit thinner, kind of like, well, I won't go there. Next, we're going to bring a local group, an Arkansas group on, and this is another little angle of old time music. This is a modern take on some old time style. The song is not an old time song. This is one that was written by the bass player in this band, and the group is called Sad Daddy. And Brian Martin is from Hot Springs and has family in Hot Springs. And on bass, the stand-up bass, is Melissa Carper, and she wrote this song. And Joe Sundell is on banjo, and Rebecca Patrick is playing fiddle. And this group plays, well, back in the day, they played regularly at either Maxine's here in town or at the Squeezebox Pizza Hut. And also, they were very generous in playing at various festivals and fundraisers for whatever good cause there was. So, Paul, why don't we play a little bit of Sad Daddy, and the name of the song is Don't Be Messin' With My Mojo.
Oh, is that the one?
The big one is.
Ready? Sure. Don't be messing with my mojo. Don't be messing with my mojo. Don't be messing with my mojo. Don't messing with my mojo.
Don't be messing with my mojo. I thought I told you no, Joe. You better keep it in your pockets. Just shut it up and lock it. I don't want to see $2 bill in me. Now you're messing with my mojo. I was having a real good day, and you had to send it my way. And it's early in the morning. I'm gonna take it as a warning. It won't be the last. They'll be coming on fast. Now you're messing with my mojo. Messing with my mojo. I thought I told you no, Joe. Thought I told you no. You're messing with my mojo, yes, and that's a no, no, no. Don't be messing with my mojo. Yes, and I said hell no. And now you gotta go. Don't make me call the coco. Yeah, you should leave. Yeah, get away to sleep. Don't be messing with my mojo.
Okay, if you get the opportunity to see Sad Daddy in Hot Springs, don't miss it. It's a fun evening, and they're a hoot to listen to. And again, thanks to Melissa for allowing us to play their music tonight. The announcement I was going to make: we are in the working out the details of having a live concert, and it may be as soon as 2 weeks, and it would be in downtown Hot Springs, and it would be free, and it would be in a historic location, and early afternoon. You might want to mark your calendar for Wednesday the 14th of April when it may happen. And I should know in another few days. So if you would like to be made aware of the location, you might want to send me an email at that email address so that you will be included on the information that we send out. Okay. Paul, what else have we got going on?
Well, Charlie, you got a question from Carol on Facebook. Can you play an instrument if you can't read music?
That's a great question. That is a great question. And the old timers and the music that evolved over the years was not written music. From the early 1800s, the way the music passed was the oral tradition. Grandpa, uncle, dad, whoever would teach you to play, but they had no music, and that's why it's so important that we preserve it. Now, I started out almost 5 years ago, and there's what's called tablature, and yes, it kind of helps you know what to do, so you until you can develop your ear. But believe it or not, and I played nothing before I decided I wanted to play the banjo. After 5 years or 4 years, you start being able to play by ear, and for some remarkable thing that the good Lord gave us, your fingers just happen to go to the right string and they fret the right place, and you're not even thinking about it. When you get to that point, it turns into real pleasure, and the longer you play, of course, the more comfortable you get. But that's a great question, Carol. Thank you for that. And these the books I'm talking about, they're just to kind of get you started. So number one, you know how to tune your fiddle or your violin or your guitar. And I noticed in the library there are no books for dummies for banjo. Now, I don't know if that's a banjo joke or maybe it's been checked out. I don't know, but I was looking for that. But no, and as you notice, you don't have to play a traditional instrument to enjoy this. I mean, if David Holt can play the paper bag and the washboard and the bones, and Brian Martin did a wonderful job on the kazoo. If you enjoy and most of this music is participatory music. It was never designed to be concert music. It was before record players, before commercial music, and when I said nothing brings people together like music, until it becomes commercial and then it gets kind of ornery. But back in the day when it was just people sharing each other's talent so they had something to do on Saturday night after a hard day of baling hay or whatever they did, it was a way of socializing and expressing care and concern for your neighbors. So it's pretty neat history. My wife told me if I would practice my banjo as much as I researched the history of this music, I could probably play. The history is so intriguing to me. The sacrifices, both African American and whites. Of course, the African Americans were not here voluntarily, but there's no question they made a great contribution to our music that we enjoy today. Any other thoughts, Paul, or comments?
On YouTube, Larry says thanks for the shout out.
Oh, okay, cool. Yes, Larry is in charge of the first annual Arkansas Heritage Festival that will be held at Hot Springs Village. And as we get more information, again, if you get on our list, we're going to keep you posted on anything that's even related to old time folk music, traditional music. So please join our mailing list if that's important to you. Let's see, next up, we're going back to a Celebration Express tour when David Holt was a younger person. And this is a group off the coast of the Carolinas. And this is another unique story. I think at least 2 members of this group or have passed away and maybe more. But it's another sweet story of how this original music is so important as a heritage piece.
Good friends with Bessie Jones. She was one of the most powerful people I ever met. She could get anybody to do anything, dance or sing, and singing from the bottom of their soul. It was great. Bessie had the foresight in 1933 to start the Georgia Sea Island Singers. They were researching songs and collecting songs from the old slave songs in the Gullah dialect. After Bessie passed away, some of the Georgia Sea Island Singers kept on with the group, and that's what we're going to hear today. They sing the old slave songs in a way that you just don't hear any other place. And they do the dances that all the kids would do when they were growing up. Here's the Georgia Sea Island Singers.
This is Wormslow, one of the last great plantations in Savannah. The wealth of these plantations was dependent upon slave labor. Slaves developed their own music and dance and culture, much of which was lost after the Civil War. But one of the groups helping to preserve this heritage is the Georgia Sea Island Singers.
Don't you let King Pharaoh overtake you.
The Georgia Sea Island Singers are a group dedicated to preserving the culture of the black people that have lived along the Georgia coast for hundreds of years. Frankie and Doug Quimby are the nucleus of the group. They were both born and raised in Georgia, and it's through their music, games, and dance that they hope to give people a sense of their heritage and the meaning behind these old songs of the slaves.
The song Moses, when they were singing it, the older people, in their mind, they were going to be free because they were going to heaven. And the younger man would be singing the same song, and his meaning would be he's on his way to freedom, to Canada, up north, somewhere to freedom. And it was like double meaning.
Where did you learn that song?
From the older people on the islands. It was a song that was really moving spiritually for the older people after freedom.
And Doug, where did you learn the dances and the songs that you do?
Well, it was a way of life with us as we were growing up. So we didn't have television and radios and things like that and telephone. So we had to learn to play but children don't do that much anymore. They don't play it much anymore like we used to play. And so we learned these songs and games from our parents and from other old people. They would get out there and play it with us. Also, when we would be playing it out there and they were sitting on the porch talking, we didn't think that they was watching us. So then when someone came up, they'd tell us, a young man, a young lady, if you can't play it right, you just come over and sit down, because they wanted to play exactly like it was made up in slavery.
Frankie, tell me what the meaning is of the Draw Me a Bucket of Water dance.
Slaves were not allowed to put covers over their well like the slave owners. And frogs, snakes, and bugs would fall into their well. And they couldn't walk up and protest. So they got together and made up the game, Draw Me a Bucket of Water, telling them that we are tired of drinking water in the condition that it is in.
Frankie, why do you think it's important that these games and dances don't die?
Because this is where we come from. This is our heritage, and this is what our people did to survive. And no matter what happened, they sung a song, they did a game, a dance, and it helped them to survive. They didn't have to take high blood pressure medicine.
The Quimbies have a lot to offer if you're willing to open your eyes, lend an ear, and join right in. This is David Holt, out on the road with the Celebration Express.
Well, that David Holt can have fun and get everybody talking about some very special things. And again, thanks to him for participating in this. Okay, let's see if there's anything on my reminder list that I need to mention. No, I think that's going to be that. Okay, we're going to move on to another group, and this group is going to be, this recording was recorded at the Ozark Folk Center in Mountain View, Arkansas in 2019. And the day before this was recorded, this group was playing on the lawn of the Red Lake Roastery here in Hot Springs on Park Avenue at a folk fest that the folks up there put together. But Evie Layden and her band are from California, and that's kind of another thing, is that the West Coast, Oregon, Washington, and California, and Colorado, and Idaho, all of those are lovers of Appalachian mountain music. It's just the heritage and the history, and it's just fun to be a part of that music genre. So, if you will, Paul, please play Evie Layden's band piece.
Wouldn't you love to starch and iron? Say, darling, say, starch and iron will be your trade. Will I get drunk and lay in the shade? Say, darling, say. Now that's an old verse, so I had to write a retort to that. Oh, my little darling, if I were yours, you'd sweep up those apple cores. Say, darling, say, well, apple cores won't feed the mill. You get your cider from my still. Say, darling, say. Say, little darling, won't you marry me? Living underneath the old oak tree. Say, darling, say, the old oak tree will be our home. Never more in this world to roam. Say, darling, say. I'm sure you've heard these next verses coming up. It's yet another way to sing it. Well, hush, little baby, don't say a word. Papa's gonna buy you a mockingbird. Say, darling, say. And if that mockingbird won't sing, Papa's gonna buy you a diamond ring. Say, darling, say. If that diamond ring turns brass, Papa's gonna buy you a looking glass. Say, darling, say. And if that looking glass gets broke, Papa's gonna buy you a belly Lift that Billy go boom boom, Papa's gonna buy you a card and bull. Say, darling, say. And if that card and bull turns over, Papa's gonna buy you a dog named Rover. Say, darling, say. If that dog named Rover won't bark, Papa's gonna buy you a horse and cart. Say, darling, say. And if that horse and cart falls down, you'll still be the sweetest little babe in town. Say, darling, say.
Oh, me. Okay, Paul, we're just going to roll right into the next one. This is the Empty Bottle String Band, a bunch of young folks from Johnson City, Tennessee. They're playing Red Wing, which is, you'll probably recognize the tune from some old movies or something like that. But they are a fun group, and hope you enjoyed that. So, Paul, if you can roll the Empty Bottle String Band.
There was an Indian maid, a shy prairie maid, who sang on their love songs, gave along to play bring walk where the nations loved the warrior bold. The shallow maid of home, the great game broke one day, battle far away. Now the moon shines bright on pretty red wing, the breeze aside, the night was bright. Far apart, the stars are love sleeping, already sweeping, right away. She watched day and night, she comes to the campfire bright, and none of the stars ignite to light, and green love is coming by and by. When all rays return upon the red wing yearn, the fought our way to warrior brave, how brave we didn't fray. Now the moon shines bright on pretty red wing, the breeze aside, the night was bright. Far apart, the stars to love is sleeping, while red wings weeping, far away. Now the moon shines bright on pretty red wing, the breeze aside, the night is bright. Far apart, beneath the stars of love and sleeping, while red wings weeping, far away.
Okay, Red Wing, the Empty Bottle String Band from Johnson City, Tennessee. We're going to wrap up now. We're getting close to the top of the hour, and our finale is going to be kind of fun for you. But before we go, I want to thank Crystal Ridge Distillery and Restaurant and Event Center. I noticed they just had a big reception and wedding there. They can accommodate small crowds, large crowds. They have a great little sampler tray of different moonshines that you can try that if you're so inclined. But they also have excellent food. So, and if you do go in there, just to go in there to see what it looks like, tell them you heard about it on the Arkansas Highlands Folk Project presentation. And we're always looking for sponsors, and they've been very kind to offer some door prizes. If you know of anybody, or if you would like to become some sort of sponsor for bringing musicians in, and primarily what we're doing is trying to pay for out-of-town travel and their expenses, and of course a reward for them for their talent. But if you would like to be a part of that, we would certainly appreciate that. And you can email me at that. If I had known I was going to use this much, we could have probably brought that up on the bottom, Paul, couldn't we? So it doesn't look like I'm holding a piece of poster board on a clothespin. But we didn't, and this is the final episode, or this is the conclusion of our three series. The spoons, we are going to give these away. Again, these are one of a kind. Unfortunately, you need two of them to play the spoon, so you're going to have to find another one. We'll give these to two different people. This next bit, at the last episode, maybe even the first episode, I mentioned Cliff Top. It's a huge festival held in West Virginia, middle of nowhere, in the beautiful mountains of West Virginia. It's actually called the West Virginia Appalachian Music Festival, but nobody calls it that except on the internet. It's Cliff Top. It's been going on for over 30 years. There's 3,600 people in attendance in 2019 was the first time I've been there. I'm already signed up for this coming year. It'll be the first weekend the last weekend in July. It's up in the mountains, so even in July the weather's quite pleasant there. But I wanted to give you all a taste of what this festival looked like. And Craig Evans has prepared a really cool video that just strolls around the park, and you'll see the close quarters and the fun and the music, and it goes on pretty much 24/7 for 7 days. There's 4 official days and 3 unofficial days that people gather there. So and this will be the end of the program. So watch it. If you love this, you're going to watch it to the end. If you're just here to kill some time, you might be ready to go refresh yourself again. But anyway, thank you so much for being a part of this series, and if you're on our email list, you'll hear more soon about the upcoming events in Hot Springs, and we're always welcome feedback, so please do that as well. Okay, Paul, let's roll the Cliff Top video by Craig Evans.
Keep the party going.
You're good.
It's nice to see you. It's nice to see you.
Lay down, take a little nap, and wake up, silver is a curling gal. Curling gal, wake up, silver is a curling gal. Come on, boy, lift your hand, come on, boy, don't you let swing on down to the door. Long way from home, long way from home. Long way from home, long way from home.
This is the first Old Town tune I've ever written.
What's it called?
I don't know yet. I put red wine in a Yingling bottle, so maybe something having to do with that. Who knows? All right, let's give it a shot.
That's a serious bass. Is that your day job too?
Thanks. It is my day job too. Yes.
Yeah. So you're classically trained. How'd you get into old time?
And just got into it through the Berkeley American Roots Music Program. For all you youngsters out there thinking of wanting to learn traditional music. Yeah, man.
What do you like about traditional music?
The community. Absolutely.
How do you define that?
Welcoming and appreciative and caring about you as a whole person. You know, not just about what you can offer musically, but about who you are.
Does the music speak to you?
Oh yeah, definitely. The music speaks pretty deeply. The music's about playing with one another, and it's kind of this lack of ego you have to put into it. You know, I found and I play a lot of bass too, and it's like playing bass behind people. You just have to serve the role and play the music. You know, don't worry about showing off what you can do.
Wow.
I make sculptures and paintings and pretty much anything visual like that. I have to say that music has definitely taken a front seat. I find myself thinking, oh, I should make some art today. And then 4 hours later, I'm still sitting there playing my banjo.
I ain't got no use for that red rocking chair. Ain't got no sugar baby now. Ain't got no sugar baby now. Well, who rocked that cradle? Who rocked that cradle? Who wrote that song? Who rocked that cradle when I'm gone? Who rocked that cradle when I'm gone? Well, I rock that cradle. I rock that cradle, and I'll sing this song. I'll rock that cradle when you're gone. I'll rock that cradle when you're gone. Well, I live in the shade. I live in the shade in the every time I meet. What else can a poor boy do? What else can a poor boy do? I'm rocking you, Lord, that's all I can say. I'll take you to your mama next day. I'll take you to your mama next day. Well, I ain't got no use. I ain't got no use for that red apple juice. Living on that corn whiskey now. Living on that corn whiskey now.
Here, get the one with Clifftop String Band Music Festival. Is this a video? It's an opera video.
I ain't got no use for that red rocking chair. Ain't got no sugar baby now. Ain't got no sugar baby now.
When I'm in situations like this, in doing live on-site drawing, it becomes like performance art for an artist. The same way a musician might perform. You put yourself out there, you pick a subject, and you start going, and maybe sometimes it works out really well, sometimes not so much, but it's that experience, raw experience.
Are you an old-time musician?
Yes, I am. And I'm a farmer, and I do this to have something creative and beautiful and fun. And in the wintertime, it's so cold and dark. And if I can't be outside, well, I want to be doing something lovely.
I will. Okay, so I'm going to say hi and welcome to Roger's freshman CD release party.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out. So I'm Hunter Walker on banjo and dulcimer on the album. Alex Lackamon on bass. Roger and Heatherton, of course, and Rachel Eddy playing guitar on the album. And we had a blast making it. We're really excited for you to hear it. That one we just played is not on the album. That was our warm-up. So now we'll play a couple from the album, whatever you feel like playing. Yeah. And we have stacks. We have CDs. Yep. Yep. That's it now. Ain't Gonna Rain.
Fire in the Mountain.
Okay, thanks again for joining us tonight. We really appreciate that. If you win a door prize, we'll email you to get your mailing address or how we can get it to you. That should be happening in the next week or so. Again, look forward to seeing you all at a live concert. Paul, I want to get back on a second. Thank you very much, and thanks for the library for providing us this opportunity. And who knows, we might do it again this way.
Absolutely. Well, stay tuned, and thank you everyone for watching this series. And this is just the end of the season, not the end of the whole series. I hope. I'm gonna pinch Charlie to doing some more. And thank you everyone who commented. You just got a few nice remarks, Charlie. Ellen says thanks for another good show. It was nice seeing that Al Allen painting hanging in the library behind you.
Yes. Good. And I didn't get the opportunity to show you the whole library, but yeah, for y'all that have not been in, our library is remarkable, and you need to come through. Whether you want a book or not, there's got so much online stuff and just activities going for every age. Thanks, Paul, and thanks to all of you guys at the library.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.